All right, this is part 2 of the algebraic expressions unit. What we're going to be looking at right now is how to name different things. So starting off with variables. Variables are obviously the letters. So those are all my variables for this certain expression. All the x's and y's, those are variables. Coefficients, very important. The 4, the 2, and the 5 are coefficients. Okay? So the 4 is the coefficient of this x. The negative 2, remember this is a negative 2, not just a 2. The negative 2 is the coefficient for x, y. And the positive 5, or the 5, is the coefficient for this x. Notice I haven't talked about this 6. This 6 gets something completely different. It doesn't have a variable with it, so it's what we call a constant. Okay? A constant because it's simply never going to change. It's not going to be changed by whatever that variable happens to be. Okay? And then these are operations. What are we doing to the problem? How are we using it? Those are considered to be operations. Okay? Now, let's talk about like terms. Like terms means all the variables match up. We don't care what the coefficient is, but the variables have to match up. So if I have 3x squared y, another like term would be some number. It really doesn't matter. Let's just say negative 10. But it has to have x squared y. Those are like terms. An unlike term would be 2x. Doesn't match up. Or even 2x squared. Simply does not match up. It is not like the rest of them. It does not have an x squared and a y. Okay? So let's look at another one. Let's just say we had 4xy. So a like term has to have an xy. It really doesn't matter what goes right here. An unlike term is anything that doesn't have that xy. Okay? If it's x cubed y to the 5th, then that means a like term is going to be x cubed y to the 5th. Doesn't matter what the coefficient is. Unlike term, anything other than that combination. Now remember, we can say it's y to the 5th, x to the 3rd. That's the same. Okay, you can swap those around, but it has to have the x to the 3 and y to the 5th, and absolutely nothing else with it. Okay, so then combining like terms. If we have 2x plus 5x, okay, they have like terms, so we combine them. 2 plus 5, that's 7, and they're x's. All right, it's like adding apples. I have 2 apples and 5 apples. I add them together, I get 7 apples. We can't add things that are not alike. Okay. Another way of looking at combining like terms, if we had a problem, 2x squared plus 5x minus 3x squared minus 10x. If you have a problem like that, where there are like terms, but they're just rearranged all over the place, arrange the like terms together. So those are like terms, and those are like terms. Notice I'm putting a box around the sign with it because the sign has to travel with it. So I'm going to put these two things first. 2x squared minus 3x squared. And then I'm going to do this piece. 5x minus 10x. Okay? Now combine your like terms. How many x squareds do I have? Well, I have 2x squareds here. I have negative 3x squareds there. Okay? So 2 minus 3, negative 1x squared. Now let's look at this. I have 5 x's and negative 10 x's. Okay, so 5 minus 10 is negative 5, and what are they? They are x's. So that's combining like terms. If you have a lot of them all over the place, rearrange it so that all the like terms are going to be grouped together, and then combine like terms. Okay, the last thing that I want to talk about, there, you'll see a slide in there that talks about all the different type of properties. We'll go through them as we get to them, but if we have something that, let's call that x squared, something like that. This is called the distributive property. I have to distribute that to both things. It is right outside the parentheses. I can't just distribute it to one. I have to distribute it to both terms. If there is another term out here, it is not inside the parentheses. So I don't distribute it there. Now, this negative. This is like a -1. So I'm distributing or multiplying by -1. So 2x squared not affected. He's hanging out on the outside having fun. The -1 times the 4x, okay? This turns this into a -4x. The -1 times the positive 5x squared. A negative times a positive gives you a negative. And then what is it? It's 5x squared. The 7, not affected at all. He's still on the outside. Put your like terms together. Well, let's look for them. I have x squared's there, -5x squared's there. That's it for like terms. Those two can't pair up. That's an x, that's a constant. So rewrite it. 2x squared minus 5x squared minus 4x plus 7. Combine like terms right there. 2 minus 5. That turns into be -3x squared minus 4x plus 7. That would be the solution to the problem, okay? So if you have a number on the outside of the parentheses, make sure you distribute it to everything. So that's the end of the algebraic expressions part 2, and this is actually the end of the unit. So what you're going to do, you're going to finish up working through this one. Once you finish it up, you'll do a test review, and then you will take your test, all right?